starts with why. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain it.
It was hilarious.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Thinking Out Loud with Brady, Hayden, and James, where we don't pretend to have all the right answers, but we aren't afraid to ask the big questions.
Yes.
Would you like to explain what you were just showing us?
It was actually really James sent in our group chat.
Bro, it's hilarious.
Stranger Things.
Dude, heartbreak for the Bills this past week.
More
Josh Allen.
heartbreak for the Broncos. You would go to the next round, but then your starting quarterback breaks his ankle on a QB kneel. Like, what?
Yeah, good point.
That was pretty unfortunate. I can't.
I mean, so who we thinking? Patriots?
It'll be the Patriots all the way this year.
Yeah.
Nah, Seahawks are about to freaking just.
Oh no.
Seahawks are laying belt. Actually, you know what? Give me Devontae Adams and the Rams. That's who's winning the Super Bowl this year.
Who's
Give
the
me, Stingingham or whatever the Broncos' backup quarterback is. Stidham, that's what it is.
Wait, who was the Patriots quarterback? Is that Drake May?
Drake May.
Yeah, okay. That dude's cold. He looks good right now. Now, granted, the Texans threw, or what's his face, CJ Stroud threw 4 first half interceptions.
That was bad. That was actually really freaking.
Poor Texans, dude. I actually kind of wanted them to win that game.
I don't know. I kind of like the way the playoffs is looking this year. It's kind of like just a bunch of new teams, if we're being honest.
Yeah, never would I.
That's true. That's true.
For a second, we would have there was a chance of a Bears Broncos Super Bowl. For a second, there was a chance having a Bears Broncos Super Bowl after, like, what was it, 2 years ago, whenever the Bears and Broncos played and had a collective score of 9 in that Thursday night game.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking
The
about.
worst game
ever. I'm pretty sure I was betting on that game too. I was taking all the overs.
Probably.
Ain't none of them hit. None of them hit.
Yes. Probably should be talking fourth game.
All right, Brady, it's your night.
Let's
hop in.
Tonight is going to be, I just wanted to focus it more about, like, kind of personal in a way, but also kind of just how we go about living our lives with our faith every day. So the topic for today is officially Jesus in our daily lives. And to start us off, I'm just going to ask us, what's our walk with Jesus every single day on a daily basis? What is it supposed to look like? This can be, what is it supposed to look like? I guess what you think it's supposed to look like, what the Bible says it's supposed to look like. It's just, what is your opinion about what living and walking with Jesus every day is supposed to look like?
It's not us, right?
No, that's the next question.
Oh, I'm blind. All right. I think that, it's not always about being perfect. I think a lot of people can get wrapped up in the fact that as a Christian, we're supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to, do everything right. But as humans, we're not that way. We're imperfect. And so I think it's just talking to God, staying consistent with Him, getting in the Word, just bettering ourselves and our relationship with Him. It could be, inviting Jesus in on our successes or even our problems and just, keeping Him around us and hoping that others can see him through us. But, I don't think it's about being perfect, but just being consistent with it. I think that's what it's supposed to look like. I'm trying to do this thing where, if y'all noticed last episode, every time I finish talking, I take a sip of my water bottle. I'm trying not to do that this time.
So kind of what I would think, kind of what our everyday lives are supposed to look like. I think we should look to live for Jesus in everything that we do, regardless if it's something as little as how you act when you're in a workplace environment, or I guess kind of what you do with your free time, how you decide to spend your free time, whether that's laziness, working out, having quiet time, doing homework, being productive. I think the way that we kind of approach the day, like our level of ambition towards what we're trying to accomplish in life, I think that can have something to do with walking with Jesus in our daily lives. I mean, just falling back on the quiet time again. I think that's very important as well for what it's supposed to look like. Saying our prayers, praying constantly, unceasingly, all the time, just being genuine, good people, a nice person, encouraging to people around you. I think that's what it's supposed to look like. And so I guess we'll move into that second question. What does it actually look like in our lives personally? Just in what maybe you see in another Christian or maybe what you see in your life specifically. What does it actually look like compared to what we're striving for? Because we obviously can't be perfect.
I think for me, which can be a relatable thing, is sometimes it can go in kind of waves almost. It's kind of like you'll have you know, a season of doing really good, reading all the time, staying in the Word, doing your best to go to church every Sunday, all that. And sometimes we have seasons where, it's just not on the forefront of our mind, even though it should be. For me, what I try to stay consistent is doing my best to have some sort of time in the Word each week. Sometimes I'm better about how much I do it in the week than other weeks, but I try my best to be in the Word to some extent throughout the week. And one thing I do think I do decently well on is I pray a lot. I try to talk to God even in moments because sometimes in the past like I just get frustrated easy with other people or something. I kind of have to kind of reel it back, and I've now kind of take that as a time to pray and really think about the situation a little bit more than just acting out of emotion, because I know that's not what we're called to do. Is to just act on our initial, you know, oh, I'm angry at this person, let me lash out at them. That's what it is for me. And of course I try to do the regular things. If I try to be at church on Sundays and all that, and then right now with deer season, that's kind of a little bit of my personal connection with God, is kind of being in the woods for me is kind of my quiet time in a way. I know Hayden can relate to
I feel that. Yeah.
It's kind of you're really close with God. You're in His creation, and it's not affected by the world, by this anything else. It's just you in the woods, and for me, that can be a very personable time. That's where I get a lot of prayer done, a lot of deep thought done.
Yeah, you get to watch it come to life,
Yeah.
You get to see the sun come up, you listen to the woods come alive, the birds start chirping, animals start moving. If you haven't ever been hunting before, it's pretty. When you think about it, if you're not just sitting there on your phone the whole time, when you think about it, everything coming to life and you're in God's creation, it's a pretty cool feeling. But yeah, so going into college, my freshman year, I think it was really easy to, or I say really easy. For me, this was kind of the thing that happened was I fell off. And as a college student, I think I can relate with a lot of people that you get that freedom that there's nobody around you, or it's all new people. So the accountability is kind of gone. Everything's up to you. You're your own person. You're an adult at this point. You're not with your parents telling you to do everything. You're not back at the house. You don't have them over you. So I think it's easy to kind of fall off for a second. And that's what happened to me. I fell off. I wasn't intentional with anything. My relationship with the Lord, it wasn't gone, but it was like, if there was that fire, it wasn't this big flame. It was a little bitty, just candle flame. It was there, but it was really small. But also in my sophomore year, whenever I came to really understand kind of the routine of everything and finding a church home, which was kind of back home, because I was never at Northwest on the weekends. I was either going to y'all, I was either going home, or the occasional Oxford trip. But once I got a routine, it was easy for me to get back into a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah, I feel that. In my life specifically, I wouldn't say it. I have the same kind of thing as you with the freshman year fall off and the sophomore year kind of regeneration. It's kind of just been consistently meh. So instead of having the drop off and then come back up, it's just been a flat line, which kind of sucks. But beginning of the fall semester, I tried to be pretty disciplined. I would wake up every morning and get my workout and do my quiet time, and then I was good with that for maybe 2 weeks. But then obviously life settled in, and I wasn't able to do that as consistently, so it was just kind of broken apart. I still do my best to try to get in the Word, and like James, I try to pray in every moment that I think of, and especially in those moments when I feel some things I probably shouldn't feel. So yeah, the inconsistency is, I mean, it's been like that for a majority of my life. So it makes sense that it's still going on now, and that's the same thing that I combat every day. So, all right, let's move on to, I mean, just some habits or disciplines that we can use to like kind of help us reach that goal of what it's supposed to look like every day as a person that's following Jesus, someone that's striving for that. What are some habits and things we can shoot for to help us on our way?
I can say for me, and I kind of touched on it in the previous question. Prayer for me, that's a big one for me. As much as I try to be in the Word, for me, like just reading is just not something that I always really enjoy, and so prayer for me has been something that's been very important to me in all times, and struggle, angry, happy. I try to be thankful and understand. Like I said, if I'm frustrated at some person, I pray, and I tend to forgive a little easier of someone of their actions. And there's times, of course, that I don't pray and I end up getting really mad and kind of in my own head about stuff, and it becomes a bigger problem than it is. I'm sure y'all can relate to that. You have something that's really small, and in your head you blow it all up because you're not thinking clearly and you're thinking on emotion, and that just leads to more issues, is what I've found. And then I guess disciplines is as tempting as it is, I try to put my phone down a little bit throughout the day, just kind of disconnect from it a little bit, you know. Even if I'm even just walking to class or eating my lunch on campus or something like that, I try my best to not have my phone, just, scrolling, doom scrolling, whatever. And I find myself to be more attentive, and I find myself to be more productive when I'm not on my phone. But it's not to say that I don't struggle with that still.
Yeah. To kind of hitch off of your discipline, when I think of discipline, I think of being disciplined leads to consistency, and consistency leads to a quality relationship with the Lord. And I think something big in that might be like, just being honest with yourself. A lot of people pray, and that's a good thing, but people sin a lot. But when you pray, do you ask for forgiveness for those sins? Are you admitting them to Jesus and then asking for forgiveness in that, and just being humble and coming to God with those problems? Because if you just hold those, I mean, what are you doing with that as a Christian? Like, it's our job to come to the Lord and ask for forgiveness when we've done wrong. So I think that's where kind of discipline comes into action. But then another thing, like, let's make time for Him. I think a lot of people struggle with making time, whether it's, even 5 to 10 minutes a day. Just like you talked about this earlier, making just even a little bit of time, because any time is good time, good quality time. Whenever you're reading the Bible or thinking about reading it, you might think, oh, I got to go read this chapter a day or whatever, and think it's too much. But you could shrink that goal, but not the habit, right? So you could take that goal and maybe instead of a chapter a day, make it a verse a day, but just not overloading yourself to where you think it's crap. It's just something I got to do. Where now it might be, oh, I'm looking forward to reading this verse rather than this chapter, and then hopefully later on that verse will turn into a chapter that you're looking forward to reading, and that'll slowly progress.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm similar with you. I think prayer is such a huge thing. I'm with both of y'all when y'all say that. And also, I'm definitely with James on the phone thing. I do my best to put my phone down. I still struggle. I still doom scroll, and I still get caught in that that track, and that honestly is probably the biggest thing for me right now that's slowing me down is getting caught up in the just losing track of time, scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Um, so I agree with both of y'all on those things. We'll move on to the next one. So the term lukewarm Christianity, you hear it all the time. It's kind of annoying to talk about at this point, but I just wanted to hear from y'all what y'all's definition of it, what y'all think it means, what does it actually mean, and not that y'all struggle with this in y'all's lives, but how do you combat that? Because I feel like that is a very common issue for most people, especially young adult Christians like us. So let's just hear about that from y'all. I mean, I can start it off. I think the term lukewarm Christianity means just, I mean, simply not fully giving yourself to Christ. You're either giving a half of yourself, a quarter of yourself, 5 minutes a day of yourself. You're giving a day a week of yourself, a Sunday of yourself to Jesus, and I don't think that's what we're called to do. So that's what I think being a lukewarm Christian is.
I was going to say, I don't think being a lukewarm Christian is you struggling. I don't think it's doubt either. I think maybe, like you kind of just said, it's kind of a lack of effort, if that's what you're getting at.
Yes, yes.
When I think of lukewarm, I think maybe it's following Jesus, maybe when it's convenient for you. I've heard, I don't know if y'all have heard this, but jacket Christianity. You wear a jacket when it's comfortable, but you take it off when it draws attention. I kind of think that. Maybe another thing is like background music. Whenever you're like just standing somewhere, you're talking to people, there's music in the background. You know, it's there, but you're not listening to it. So that's kind of the same with Jesus. He's always here, but you know, we're too good for ourselves to listen to what he has to say or his plans for us. We want to do our own thing. So yeah, whenever I think of lukewarm Christianity, I just think of like a lack of effort.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely like both y'all. I feel like that sums it up pretty well.
All right, then let's just move on to the second part of the question. How do you combat as a lukewarm Christian? How do you combat that? How do you get over that? How do you avoid that? How do you push through that? Because I'm sure we've all. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like going back to your earlier question about discipline, I feel like that's a big thing. And I mean, it's just like, you know, it's just like getting better at your sport or getting better in the gym or anything like that, getting better at school. You know, if you just go to the class, you listen to the lecture, whatever, you're only going to be so good in that class. If you go to the gym once a week, just to say you went to the gym for the week and you kind of dilly dallied in there, you know, you're not going to gain anything out of it for your sports if you just go to your team practice and that's all you go to. And then you kind of, you kind of fiddle around, you kind of go through the motions or whatever. You're not going to get better at that sport. And I think that goes for the same as your faith. And it's like y'all talked about, it's being intentional about it. It's like how Hayden talked about with prayer, being intentional about it. Are you just saying a prayer before you before you eat your lunch or whatever and not meaning anything by it because you say the same one every single time before you eat? Is it intentional? Are you meaning anything by it, or are you just saying it to say you said it type of deal? So yeah, I think intentionality, I think really putting effort towards it all is the easiest way to combat it. And it's something that, we all have the problem with from time to time. Sometimes lukewarm Christian gets just put on a category of people. I feel like it's something that we all deal with at some point. And it's not that you necessarily, like Hayden said, it's not like you have a lack of faith. It's not like you doubt what you believe in. It's just, are you putting the effort towards being the best you can in your faith?
Yep. I like
Absolutely.
that.
You know, I think of a small thing, and this just kind of sticks out to me. Whenever I'm like singing music or singing worship songs, even in church, am I actually taking the time and the effort that we've kind of keyed out on? Am I taking the effort to actually, you know, sing the words and like know what they're saying? Or am I just singing the song to sing the song? Like, am I being intentional in trying to actually connect with God through praise, or am I just there? So just being intentional, I think that's the biggest thing. Like everybody else, like y'all, both Brady and James have said, and what your actions are doing. And another thing that kind of sticks out to me is maybe moving from agreement to surrender. Not just always going with the flow of things, but surrendering ourselves to Christ and letting Him take control, because He is in control in the end of things. We don't know what's going to happen, and so we just got to give it to Him and let Him take control. Sorry, I was reaching for my water bottle because I was about to be done. I just started laughing whenever I thought about that. But yeah, being intentional, that's the biggest thing.
I like it. So,
agreement to surrender. I actually like that a lot.
oh. All right. So, in your personal lives, Hayden, at football, me and James walk on campus or job sites, how do we as Christians demonstrate and show everybody, whether it's a believer or non-believer, Christ's love? How do we do that in just walking across campus or at work? Or Hayden, how do you do that at football? How do you do that out of football? How do you do that in the locker room? How do you do that in your own part? How does that work?
I feel like I could give you the most Sunday school answer whenever I hear that question, because I hear that question a lot of like, what am I doing to help my football team or my classmates around me, become a better Christian or grow in their faith or whatever. I hear that all the time. And I kind of give the same answer of like, maybe I could start a Bible study, or maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. But I've never really done anything about it, if you know what I mean. I've never, and that's where that lukewarm Christianity comes back into play, of the effort part. And there's my lack of effort. Is I hear that question all the time, way too many times, to have not done anything about it at this point. But it's just about being. Or I heard this at a Pine Lake service a while ago, but it's about oh, what was it? It was like, you can't be or to be comfortable, you gotta. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get this. You got to be. Hold up. We might have to come back to me on this one. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
just step to the side, bro.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna step over here, and now I'm gonna come back with it whenever I get it.
I'm trying to think of what the saying is.
I don't know. I give up, man. I'm not even gonna try. He's gonna come back. We're gonna end the podcast, and he's gonna go, "Oh my gosh, I thought of it."
No trust, I won't.
Well, then I'll take it. I guess my opinion is I have a difficult time talking to people. I tend to avoid as many people as I can on campus. I don't want to talk to anybody I don't know. I don't want to engage with those people. I could care less. Sometimes I'll see people I know and I will just go the other way because I just don't feel like talking to them. I'd prefer to just not to. And I guess that's hard for me to want to, because 5 and 6, both the questions y'all see on your screen tie together. It's the other one, how to engage people with conversations about Jesus. They both kind of tie in together. It's hard for me to outwardly express how I feel about Jesus, or how to like start a conversation with people, or to even just be nice to, like, being nice is the easy part, but getting into a position where you can be nice to somebody, that's very difficult for me, and I really, that's just a bravery thing at that point, having courage to do that. But that's kind of what I have an issue with and what I try to do, but it doesn't always work because sometimes I like just putting in my AirPods and going to hide in a corner in the student union. So
Under that staircase by the vending machine.
I actually haven't sat there in a very long time. I like the kinesiology building now because no one goes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like what both of y'all said. I mean, there's a very Sunday school answer. Obviously we should go interact with people, tell them about what we know. But sometimes it just don't work like that. I know for me, like I have to be very close to someone before I start to bring that up. It's just hard for me to bring that up. It's very much something I need to get better at. And it's like anything, if you do it once or twice, it'll start to come a little bit more natural. It's just getting to that point that I think. that I know I need to get better at.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump in real quick again. Hayden, I'm not sure you're gonna know who this is, but oh look, we got a surprise guest. Max, you wanna come say hi to the podcast?
Max.
Oh, the podcast.
Max.
This is
What's
Max,
going
my
on, Max? Yo, he'd probably get us like 1,000 likes.
he might. Special guest Max. Max will be on the next one, guys. Trust me.
Oh, it
Anyway,
just came back. Hold up. Hey,
oh,
Get him.
hold up.
go ahead.
Here
Go
we
ahead.
go. So, it was you can't be comfortable. You got to be uncomfortable in your faith to grow. And the unfortunate part about it, being a Christian, is the closer we get to God, the harder it gets because the bigger the distractions become, everything just it amps up basically, and to this Satan's just trying to keep us away from the Lord. So the closer we get, the harder it is for us to not be distracted while we're still growing with Him. And so yeah, it's really hard for me to step out of my comfort zone and just have a conversation about the Lord with somebody. Not because I'm scared to talk about it, but I guess it's the judgment part. Just what are they going to think about us whenever we talk about this with them? And so that's where taking that uncomfortability and being able to grow in your faith, those two kind of come in together. And that's what I was trying to bring in earlier. I just couldn't remember what the phrase
Nice.
was. Let me
Nice,
get there.
nice. Well, Hayden, I don't know if you're gonna think about the same person that I'm thinking about, but I always remember this dude on our soccer team. And I kind of like I would like to live like this, but it was like every time I would hear something come out of his mouth, like he'd go and mess, like it'd be the stupidest thing. He'd mess up something in a drill, or he'd like trip over the soccer ball, or he'd like have a bad pass, or something just bad would happen in practice. And the first thing that would come out of his mouth was, "It's okay because God is good." I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. We could talk about it after the podcast, but he
Oh
every single
shoot!
and
Wait.
unexpected person. And I'm just sitting here like, man, I'm sitting here and I call myself a Christian and I go to church every day and I go to Sunday school and I go to Wednesday nights and I read my Bible and pray and I feel like I would call myself that. But here's this person sitting here and he's just like, even in the worst moment, he's sitting here going, God is good. Like, even over the silliest things. And I'm like, what if I just lived like that, walking around campus every freaking day? Like, imagine how would I affect other people? How would I affect myself? And I'm like, so I think about that a lot when I'm walking around campus, and I try to be like that. But so I guess that kind of goes around 5 and 6. But James, you got
That's
anything for?
I think y'all covered it.
that's good. Now I need to know. I need to figure out because I remember who you're talking about, or I remember like that person. I can't
Yeah.
put a face or a name to him though. So we're gonna
Um.
have to figure that out.
All right. We'll hit this last question right here. Um. Days get busy. Times get hard. How do we stay consistent with Jesus, but just specifically in those days get busy, hard times question? Because things are going to go wrong. Hayden, things are going to go wrong for you. James, things are going to go wrong for you. Things are going to go wrong for me. Days are going to get busy. We're going to have a day where we wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, don't go to sleep till 11 o'clock at night, probably even later, depending on tests and studying and all that. How do we combat that in that situation? We've heard about the everyday thing. We've heard about the lukewarm thing. We've heard about just the walking around campus thing. How do we do it when we're struggling?
I think it's that unwavering faith that we're supposed to have, knowing that what's going on is happening for a reason. Something that I talked to and going back to, I guess, the anger thing and kind of when stuff's going wrong, why is it going wrong? Why is it happening to me? Why does it have to be right now? That whole deal. To be honest, we don't get to choose when it's convenient. Nothing hard is convenient. It never is. And it's something that you kind of have to get comfortable with. I'm going off of Hayden's when it comes to the face side. You have to be uncomfortable for a time to get comfortable, almost. Like there's going to be a time of learning something new. There's going to be a time of when you learn something new in a sport. It feels awkward at first, but eventually it starts to feel right. It starts to make sense. It becomes a routine. And then going back to dealing with being angry in those times, something that I talked to one of my coworkers. I've learned a lot from him. He's gone through a lot in life. He's had a lot of experiences, and he's been a big part of my faith and getting through those hard times. And the big thing that he dealt with was anger and being angry at people and struggling with that. But it was something, I don't know why it came to me at the time. I told him to give into anger is to doubt that God had a purpose for that moment to happen to you. And that's something that came to me in a Bible study that we all did. And it's a thought that's actually got me through a whole bunch of stuff of dealing with angry stuff, is going back, okay, that happened for a reason. How can I better myself from this? How can I build upon this? And that's for me how going through those hard times, that's how I've had to deal with it sometimes.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it.
I like what you said about, at the beginning, you're talking about it's gonna happen, or we can't control it. So, or we can't control our actions, but we can't control what's gonna happen. So, that's where that surrendering our lives to Christ comes into play. We can't control what happens ultimately, but we can control how we deal with it. And so, how is our attitude in that situation? Are we taking it out on somebody else, or are we staying encouraged in that, knowing that God's got us, that we're not alone, and that no matter what, we always have somebody we can run to. And that's where that comfortability comes into play. But I also think, if you're having a bad day, just listen to some worship music. Don't listen to something that's also going to get you down even worse. Fill your head with the right thoughts, and just not being negative. Try to stay as positive as you can. God's plan for us is perfect, so you just gotta let it play out.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Yeah, y'all pretty much took the cake on that one. Any last thoughts about, I guess, the topic, or any of the questions you want to go back to, or any questions you want to add, or anything like that, guys? Alrighty. All right. All right. Wrap this thing up.
Let's do it, dude. Everybody, thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all made it this long. This was Thinking Out Loud episode 3, and we will catch y'all next time.